And I mention that because it was after Monday night's blowout of the Jacksonville Jaguars that Josh Allen, the Bills quarterback, made the comment about how after spreading the ball around to 10 guys, how it's great to have a bunch of guys who aren't concerned about stats and they aren't concerned about touchdowns. And when you listened to what Josh Allen said, it was hard to not come to the conclusion that he was making a reference, intentionally or not, to a certain former teammate who had a habit of, and this is a word that will impress Aaron Rodgers, gesticulating on the sideline if he had any type of frustration regarding the things that were happening out on the field. Because, again, Stefon Diggs believed if the Bills were losing and if he wasn't getting the ball thrown his way repeatedly, all we have to do is get me the ball and we will be winning. It all came to a head when they lost 27-10 to the Bengals in the divisional playoffs in 2022. It was the thing on the sideline with the gesturing, and it laid the foundation for a toxic offseason. They should have traded him after July 1 of 2022. They ultimately did trade him before June 1 of 2022, if I misspoke. They did trade him before June 1 of 2024. I got my dates all wrong there. Let me try this again. They should have traded him after June 1 of 23. They did trade him before June 1 of 24. The cap consequences were the same. They should have made that move because remember that weird mandatory minicamp thing? That happened after June 1 of 23. That's when they should have moved on. That's when they should have found a suitor for Stefon Diggs. They waited until after the season, and here are the Bills, 3-0. Number one on the PFT power rankings, the always binding, statistically efficient, carefully cultivated PFT power rankings. They jumped the Chiefs, even though the Chiefs won this past weekend, even though the Chiefs are 3-0. The Bills, the number one team in the NFL. Here's Allen from yesterday when he was asked how encouraging it is to see his receivers not clamoring for the football.
It's very encouraging, and I know there's a lot of people talking out there. Again, I'm not trying to tear down anybody. I've loved everybody that I've played with, and you don't have to tear other people down to build each other up. And we're building each other up right now, and that's all we're trying to do. We're trying to stay together as a team, and we're really caring about each other. And everybody in this building's got that feeling. What do you mean by that? You know what I mean. You know what I mean. Whether it's former players, and again, I love 14. I still do, but everyone wants to keep making this thing a thing, and we're so focused on what's going on inside of our building, and that's the only thing that we're caring about right now.
When I saw the characterization of Allen's comments at ESPN.com, I think it was presented as Allen being asked to follow up specifically about Diggs. He wasn't. He was never asked about Diggs. He brought Diggs up. He knew what impression his comments created on Monday night, and he might not have done it intentionally. He still did it. There are times where, as we speak, we sometimes aren't as tactful as we'd like to be. A lot of times we're just blunt because we choose to be blunt. We're passive-aggressive because it's part of a deliberate plan to send a message. Sometimes what happens is we just say the words. There isn't a filter that's rearranging our thoughts so they come out in an intended way. We just speak our mind. And life would be a lot easier, although probably a lot more chaotic, if people just constantly spoke their minds. Josh Allen was speaking his mind on Monday night and not realizing, uh-oh. And haven't we all done that? We say something, and then we realize after the fact, oh crap. Somebody's not going to like that. And then you have to do a cleanup on aisle 5, and that's what he did. He was simply asked, how encouraging is it to see receivers not clamoring for the ball? And he's the one that pivoted into give me a mop and a bucket mode. I better make sure I take this opportunity to let 14, who now wears 1 with the Texans, know I wasn't firing a shot at him. But he kind of was. And that's okay. Now, look, maybe Josh Allen wants to have a good relationship with Stefon Diggs. Maybe Josh doesn't want to give Diggs any extra for their upcoming game, which I believe is next weekend. We've got Bills at Ravens on Sunday Night Football. We'll have Bills at Texans at 1 o'clock Eastern the Sunday of Week 5. You're too close to that game to give Stefon Diggs any extra incentive, any extra reason. Not that he won't have plenty. Not that it mattered when he went back to Minnesota. I was kind of surprised by the whole storyline of the Diggs revenge game against the Vikings. He wanted out. He wanted out. The day that they gave Kirk Cousins an extension is the day he tweeted his way out of Minnesota. And I saw someone characterize it before the start of the season. Maybe it was in the long GQ article that he wanted out of Minnesota's run-heavy offense. What are you talking about, run-heavy offense? They paid all that money to Kirk Cousins to throw the ball. Diggs wanted out, and he tweeted his way out the same day that Kirk Cousins got an extension. He wanted out. It wasn't the Diggs revenge game. It was the Vikings revenge game. And if you watched any of it, oh boy. Now, Diggs got his catches. Diggs got his yards. He had more catches than the Texans had points on Sunday. 34-7. Minneapolis Miracle? Not that day. So that is, I believe, what Josh Allen is trying to avoid. No extra incentive for 14. Nothing to see here, Buffalo media. I wasn't referring to anyone in particular when I made this comment spontaneously about how nice it is to have a bunch of receivers who aren't clamoring for stats and touchdowns. You know, it's not a new development. It's not anything to even mention if that's the way it's always been. That's why it was a shot. When you speak of it like some new thing that is fueling this 3-0 start when they struggled last year, that's where the rest of us will infer from the comments, it is new. It is different. And what's the difference? 14's not there. So Josh Allen might not have intended it. Look, he's my early season MVP candidate. I've got the Bills at number 1. I'm not trying to cause trouble here any more than I just ordinarily am wired to try to cause trouble. But even if he didn't know damn well what he was doing, he should have known. And he found out afterward. Somebody came to him, PR or someone, and said, probably a good idea if you get an opportunity on your midweek press conference to, try to put the toothpaste back in the toothpaste holder. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.